Hey everybody, welcome to ACL. We've got Christian Peck-Dimit. We've got Alex Deimel. And I should stay near the mic. We're in the same room for the first time, and that's pretty great.
This doesn't feel real yet. This is kind of strange.
Shout out to WRFH for getting us all set up in this beautiful booth.
Yeah.
Gorgeous setup.
Yeah. Although I can't wait to go back and see that either my phone's rotten recording or something like that, because
we'll screw it up.
But we'll find a way to mess this up for sure.
But we do have a lot to talk about, despite it sort of being. It's always a great time come playoffs in the NBA and the NHL because they're going on at the same time, and you sort of get the NFL draft in there and all that, and then very quickly everything sort of snaps to a close, and suddenly you've got midseason baseball, and that's the end of the list.
Yes, no, exactly. It's like when all of these teams are in their free agency spot. Baseball's still going, but no, it'll be all of a sudden like that, and I think that's where you'll find more of our debate topics, which will be fun. But it's awesome to be in person. I haven't been in this studio. Normally, I'm down the hall recording, so this will be fun. But we've got some good topics for today. This was our surprise from last week, I think. Last I checked, I could be wrong. Maybe there's more. Who knows? But I mean, even with I guess I'll defer to you for Pistons stuff. I mean, it's kind of a dead moment right now.
Yeah. So we love running through our Detroit sports and sneak peek. We are going to run through our worst Detroit sports refereeing moments. Any Detroit fans know out there, there's a long list, and it would be basically a whole show of ranting if we let it get like that. So we've each ranked our top 3 in a row. We're going to go through them. The worst moments for Detroit sports when referees are involved. Sadly, as far as on the court stuff, the Pistons are sort of just waiting and praying at this point. I know a lot of Pistons Twitter is looking for a new coach and things like that, but you sort of have to wait. Especially, we'll have Bryce Simon on again as the free agency period and as the offseason sort of continues. But we need, essentially, from the insider info that we now have, president of basketball ops, and then it all sort of cascade and domino effects down from there. So Monty's still going to be our coach next year. I think deep down every Pistons fan knows that, but as far as who will get at the top, and then a GM, and then free agency moves, roster moves from there, really you don't get a lot until after the playoffs finish, which is nice because it does give us more time to talk about the NBA playoffs.
Absolutely. And I guess it's kind of the same thing for the NHL. The Wings, it was funny there. We got a tweet from Patty Kane saying how thankful he is for the Wings, and all the responses are like, "What does this mean? Does this mean you're coming back? Does this mean you're leaving? What is going on?" And I guess obviously you have the NHL playoffs, which have been unreal. I don't think anyone is shocked that the fact that the Rangers are 7-0. But outside of the NHL and a little bit of Wings news, we do have the IIHF Worlds, which are in. I think in Prague, in Czech Republic this year, which I was looking at this list, and there's a couple Wings, either current Wings players or Wings prospects on this USA team. And ironically, the oldest player on this team is Jeff Petrie, Wings defenseman, who I have very many opinions about. The youngest player is Trey Augustine, who just finished up a great year at Michigan State, who's a Wings goalie prospect. Now, Petrie, his birthday, December 9th, 1987. Now, he's a prospect, and he's a college player. So do you want to guess what year Trey Augustine was born in?
It's going to be depressingly early. It's
younger than us.
Oh, for sure. Oh, shoot. That's the most depressing thing, is watching someone on TV. Man, youngest kid in the league, and he's like 18. You're like, kill me, dude.
Yeah, like, what? Why couldn't I be doing this?
2003.
2005.
Oh.
February 23rd, 2005. He is the youngest on the team. He's playing with a guy that was, let me see if I can do some quick math. I think Petrie would have been 18, 19, something like that when this guy, 18, 19 when Trey Augustine was born. and they're playing on the same team.
That's super depressing. Does anyone else find that depressing, that like you watch these guys make millions of dollars and you're like, they are literally 18 years old and they have their life together more than I ever will.
Yeah. And I mean, the one thing I do have to tell myself is it doesn't always necessarily last. Like, they do have to have something afterwards. Not that they don't have 10 times more talent than I ever will in their sport, but it's still one of those things. Well, they'll have to figure it out afterwards. But it is also really cool. I think it's got to be awesome for those guys to, at least from the younger side, to be able to play up with guys that have played for much longer, get that experience. And again, I'm not talking from any personal, experience in the matter, but I can imagine that's got to be pretty sick to have guys that you can look up to in that sense, and to have kind of, for those guys have that, mentor role that they probably had when they came into the league. So that'll be awesome to watch. I think USA plays tonight. We're recording on Friday. I think they play tonight at like 8:00. But I'm sure a lot of eyes will be mostly focused on the NHL playoffs.
And it is always very interesting to see what essentially becomes a generational divide in some of these teams when you get players that are very good that will do the LeBron thing where they're playing till they're 1,000 years old, and you start getting the stories like Matt Stafford, who like is having trouble connecting with 18-year-olds. You got to think about like imagine right now you get home from work and you're like, I have to, or you get to work in the morning and all of your coworkers are like freshmen in college, like fresh out of high school, and it's not always easy, but I think we take for granted that teams just gel together, even though like a couple of them are like 34 and a couple of them are literally teenagers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking right now because I want to see, Sidney Crosby, who's like an NHL legend, guaranteed Hall of Famer one day as soon as if he ever decides to retire. He's 36. He was the first overall pick of the 2005 draft, and I want to say he made his debut. I just want to check and make sure. Did he start in that 2004-2005 season? No, there wasn't one. There's a lockout. Basically, I was like 5 or 6 years old when he started playing hockey, and he's still playing, and I'm 22. I don't know how these guys, like, I know people that can barely go on runs.
Yeah.
Now, and there's people, I don't know. It's freaky how a lot of these things end up working out, especially in hockey. I feel like where like it is such a physical sport. Not that basketball and football aren't.
No, but
basketball guys are skating into you at like tops at like pretty high speeds and just bashing their heads together and are somehow still playing for 10, 11-year careers. It blows my mind. It blows my mind.
It should. What blew my mind was Deimel got a hockey pick wrong. The Bruins did come out of that series. Didn't you pick the Maple Leafs?
Yeah. I don't know. I feel for Leafs fans, and I'm not supposed to as a Wings fan. You are supposed to hate the Maple Leafs, and I was reminded of this several times as I'm, actively cheering them on. I don't know if you watched, but did you watch game 7? I think it was game 2 of the Bruins Panthers?
No, I didn't.
I want to say there were like, let me see, because there were so many fights that there were 146 hits and 158 penalty minutes handed out in game 2 between Panthers and Bruins. To put that in perspective, a minor penalty in hockey is 2 minutes and a major penalty is 5. Mm-hmm. And there were 158 penalty minutes handed out in one game. In a 60-minute game.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It was 136 in the third period alone. It brought back, I was just smiling thinking, and I wasn't alive for this, but just smiling thinking about, Red Wings Avalanche, that, the brawl at the Joe years and years ago. But, that's just one of the best parts of hockey, which was awesome. But no, they're coming down to it. It is interesting seeing how some of those series ran. I think a lot of people had the Bruins much more. I think like they did not have the Leafs coming back after going down 3-1 and they made it work. But I don't know. If you're a Leafs fan right now, do you keep the core 4 of Marner, Matthews, Nylander, and Tavares? I don't know what you do. It's just genuinely, you do kind of, unless you're completely irrational, which I can be sometimes, I won't lie, but you do have to have a little bit, I feel like, of pity for Leafs fans just because that I can't imagine it. And there are some people that will be, you have like I think what was you always used to see the meme of like the worst sports fan was like a Yankees fan, a Lakers fan, a Leafs fan, and I don't know who would it be in football. I guess
football, Cowboys.
Cowboys, yes, duh, thank you. But like, as much as that is obviously the truth, I think I do just have some pity for how it's just been. You have all these stars and you just keep failing miserably.
The Maple Leafs have lost in 7 games to Boston in what now 3 of their last 8 years.
I think they've beaten Boston in a playoff series that's gone 7 games. I think since like the 50s.
That's so depressing.
Yeah,
that's so
like
depressing.
there's me as a Wings fan who's like, oh, we didn't make the playoffs. We got screwed. I honestly feel like I would rather have. Actually, no. What am I saying? I would rather be in the playoffs.
Oh, 100%.
Rather be in the playoffs. I don't know what the hell I was just about to say there, but you do have to kind of feel for them a little bit. But enough of a Maple Leafs pity party. This Panthers-Bruins series is going to be electric. Same with Avs Stars. That's tied 1-1 right now. Stars put on a lot of goals yesterday. I think it was a 5-3 final. So it'll be good to see in that one. And then I guess post-draft, not really much new. I did see a crazy story from the Lions' first overall pick. Did you see this with the coin flip?
Yeah. Oh, the Raiders.
Yeah. They called him. I think it was the head coach of the Raiders called Terry Arnold after the draft and said that they literally flipped a coin to decide between Brock Bowers and Terry Arnold. Who does? There's no
2
way.
parts of me right now. The one half, the devil on the shoulder. We'll start with the angel. The angel on the shoulder goes, clearly this was metaphorical. We just want to let you know how much we liked you, and you did have a good workout. Congrats. You're going to have a great young career. It was a metaphorical coin flip, you and Bowers. And the devil on my shoulders go, it's the fucking Raiders. They so flipped a coin in that war room.
I will say that to my caveat to that angel on your shoulder is, even if like you didn't, why use that term? Why use the term
because they're just saying it's close. They're saying like it was that close between you and Brock.
But the way that can be taken so literally, and now that it's blown up, like you are asking people to say like, haha, you guys are fucking morons.
It's the Raiders, dude.
And yes, it is the Raiders. Brock Bowers' dad just looking so incredibly angry. Obviously it was just the meme that he just looked pissed off when he got drafted. But yes, I mean, I'm happy they didn't. I take Brock Bowers. I'm happy we got our guy. But no, that was just an insane thing to come out after the fact.
I got something. We posted on TikTok the clip of us talking about Tyrion Arnold and what a blessing it was that we got him that late in the first round as the number 1 corner on the board because there was such a run on offensive guys first half of the first round. Everyone in the comments, no, he is not the first. He was not the first corner on that board. He shouldn't have been. He wasn't the best. Quinion Mitchell, clearly. What if the Raiders had taken him at 13? How do you feel about that?
Yeah.
Come on.
Like,
that tells you about where teams are ranking him.
Over a guy that, like, obviously had a bit of a not fall off, but without Stetson Bennett, like, wasn't, like, the top news. But 2 years ago, Brock Bowers was the name in college football. He wasn't necessarily this year. I think he was dealing with some injuries, but you couldn't read an article about college football a couple years ago without seeing Brock Bowers' name.
I wasn't knocking Brock Bowers. I was saying Quinion Mitchell. People had Quinion Mitchell as a corner above.
But imagine like if that's the case and they would have taken him like over a guy with such prestige.
I got you.
Like that what does that say about someone like that? And I mean, it's not like there weren't like obviously you had the run on offensive guys as we talked about. I think was there even one? Yeah, the first defensive guy wasn't taken until pick 15.
Yeah.
And then they started to funnel in, but I don't even think the first corner was Quinion Mitchell, just 2 picks before. So yeah, I don't think it was like necessarily. Let's put some respect on his name.
Oh,
like,
for sure.
Let's also no disrespect to your Maction fans out there, but I'm gonna put up the experience and the people that Arnold had to cover at Alabama 10 times more than I will ever put up Quinion Mitchell's experience in college. And again, I mean no disrespect if you're a fan of a Maction team, but it's the SEC. No. And even as a Big Ten fan, you have to acknowledge that the SEC is just 10 more tiers above that. Like they're
above
not even
the
close.
Big Ten?
No, above the MAC.
was worried for a second.
No, I'm. You're never gonna hear those words come out of my mouth.
All right.
But
Real
that,
quick
that was
before we
crazy.
finish up, over on the ice, like you mentioned, Stars Ave is 1-1 right now. Also, Bruins Panthers 1-1. Who we got?
I think Stars come out of the Avs series for sure.
Okay.
I don't know about Panthers Bruins. That one
Already disrespected Boston once too many times.
I've already disrespected them once, but at the same time, like you could say the same thing. Like you can't really disrespect Florida. Florida's just been a dominant team all year. There's a reason they ran through that first series so quickly. I do think if I had to make my pick, I do think the Rangers come out and sweep. I think that final game is tomorrow, Saturday. I think it's Saturday at 7 Eastern. I think the Rangers are going to go undefeated through those first two. I don't see a universe in which Carolina comes back. I think, yes, they've been able to force it into overtime, but I just don't think there's enough firepower on that Canes team to get through that. If you disagree, let me know. No, in no way, shape, or form an expert. I just, make the pick with what I see. But yeah, I think the Rangers come out of that one. And I am in a huge question mark pickle with this Panthers Bruins series. I don't know. I think it'll just be entertaining to watch. I don't think it'll be a game 7 is what I can tell you for sure.
That's what I had or have right now with OKC and with the Mavs. I'm literally just taking a step back and I'm like, I'm not betting on this. I'm not making a prediction. I just want to watch some damn good basketball, and that did prove true again last night. There have been more blowouts than we would like in the NBA, but there are very competitive playoff series going on. That much is certain. 1-1 now, Mavs OKC.
Yeah. Do you think the Pacers get a game on the Knicks?
I think they get a game. Even going into this series, I know a lot of people gave credit to Indiana more than I did, frankly. I just think their defense isn't there. I don't think they have a good defense. I don't think, despite their personnel, that their rim protection is good enough. I think that they don't have the big defensive guards that we've seen play well on shot creators this year. Both Jamal Murray and Jalen Brunson haven't been slowed down a lot.
Yeah.
But when they have been slowed down, and especially Jamal in this Minnesota series, it's been when you put the longer wings on them. In the Minnesota series, it's Nickeil Alexander-Walker. It's Jaden fucking McDaniels that they throw on Jamal Murray and shut his ass down. In that Sixers series, obviously he had 40 a whole bunch of times, but when was he struggling to score the most? Because he did put up a lot of shots in that series. It was when they had Kelly Oubre, when they had Nick Batum on him. Nick Batum, who has like 6 inches on him, but these bigger wings that can move well. And I just don't think the Pacers have the personnel to slow down Jalen Brunson.
Yeah. I mean, it's also, looking at it, like there were, we had 2 upsets in the first round, obviously with the Pacers coming over the Bucks and then Mavs going over the Clippers, and I don't think we got a single game 7.
No, we
as the old saying goes, game 7 is the best game in all of sports. But I don't think it's a testament to how entertaining these leagues, or at least both leagues playoffs, have been.
Very true. It's there have been some great series going on. I think we did have a game 7. It was Cavs Magic.
Oh, we did.
Yeah.
Yep.
Magic, I think, looked. I think the Magic can't be mad, or Magic fans, at this season, just because, you lose in 7 games to a Cavs team that's pretty decent, and you had Donovan Mitchell go for 89 between games 6 and 7, 89 points, a 50 piece, and then 49. But they have so many good young pieces that, yes, sold like hell in the final moments. Jalen Suggs was terrible in the closeout game. Basically, everyone but Paolo was terrible. Franz Wagner, terrible in the closeout games. Sorry, Franz. But you have Franz Wagner, you have Jalen Suggs, you have Cole Anthony, you have Paolo Banchero, even Wendell Carter. You have just a whole slew of guys that if you add, I know there have been talks of adding Klay Thompson, who is a free agent to this Orlando team, which seems like a pairing from hell.
Yeah.
And it seems like they're going to overpay like hell for a shooter like him. But the one thing, or the 2 things that the Magic haven't had these last few years is a shooter. They're one of the worst shooting teams from outside in basketball, period, and yet somehow went to Game 7. And then they just have not had, frankly, a real veteran presence, giving them good, solid minutes. Can Clay still do that for them? Frankly, I don't know. But on paper, that's the right sort of guy to go after. And whether they get him or not, I'll be interested sort of to see the trajectory of this Magic team.
Absolutely. And I do want to transition. Obviously, we got to talk a little baseball, but this isn't going to be a baseball talk. This is not going to be about the Tigers who haven't been playing bubble. I don't want to focus on that today. I want to focus on Xfinity and Bally Sports. All I ask is that I can watch a game in the middle of a season. Yeah. If you want to have contract talks, save it for the offseason. The fact that, and let me pull up the article here. A week ago, Diamond Sports Group and Comcast Infinity, which for those of you who don't know, Diamond Sports Group is Bally Sports Detroit, which is how fans like me get to watch the games, failed to renew a carrier agreement before the May 1st deadline, meaning Bally Sports Detroit was pulled from Comcast network lineup, the impasse leaving thousands of Michigan residents without a way to watch the Detroit Tigers and could potentially have an impact on the Wings and Pistons games this fall if a solution is not found. I can't even get through the article speaking it properly because it pisses me off so much. The fact that there's a potential for this to seep into the Wings and Pistons, get your shit together. What are we doing? Like, I get contracts are contracts, and I won't ever be smart enough to know what the hell is going on there, but I don't think they realize how much, you are asking the entire state of Michigan to just go after you, Xfinity. Pull it together, get your shit figured out, and save it for the offseason.
Let this man watch some Tigers baseball. But this is, by the way, a sneak peek to our pre-show where he just goes, "Fuck, dude, I need to watch some Tigers sports."
I will never understand that. And the bottom line, or quote from Diamond's letter says, "Bottom line, Xfinity's current proposal will immediately put Bally Sports on a tier requiring you to pay more to see your favorite teams. This matter is not an attempt to ask Xfinity for more money. In fact, we are just asking them to accept market terms similar to what Charter, Cox, Communications, DirecTV, and DirecTV Stream all did last month." If that is actually the case, Xfinity, you're not that good, dude. You're not that guy. You're not that guy. Get it together.
Live TV right now is for one damn thing. That's sports.
Nobody is
Nobody's streaming.
Nobody's streaming The Office on Xfinity or cable anymore. That's what Netflix and Hulu and all these things are for. If Xfinity hasn't caught up to that, wake up.
Live TV is for one thing, and it's what you can't get anywhere else. It's the news and it's sports.
But the news is even Twitter. That's what social media is for the news. No, I can't imagine. Well, maybe if you're above a certain age, you're still watching Fox and CNN. I don't think a lot of people our age are doing that. Not to to offend anybody, but in the end of the letter, it says, "Raise your voices, let Xfinity know you want your teams back on the air." That's what I'm doing. Give me my sports back, damn it. I don't know what it's going to take, but this is an awful precedent for Xfinity to set.
Oh, for sure.
So again, that's my rant. I don't even want to talk about the Tigers just because this has pissed me off enough. I haven't even gotten used to it, where I will go home, I will open the Bally app on my TV, I will log into Xfinity, and it still won't be there, and I have to remind myself, oh wait, Xfinity is screwing me out of watching Tigers
because
games.
What goes on in the Dome right after this is, why the hell do I need Xfinity? Yeah. If I can't get me some Bally sports, if I can't watch my teams, and I have to go to, insert site to go watch my team, which
it's also if you want people to the whole thing is people get pissed off when people stream things illegally. Maybe figure your shit out and people will stream things legally.
Let them do it legally.
It's simple answer. Simple answer. I don't know. I'm before I have a heart attack in the middle of this studio, we're gonna move on because I could rant about this for much longer.
Tigers, by the way, 19-18, 4.5 games back in the AL Central.
Brutal Yankees and Guardians series. And
they're fast approaching a negative run differential.
Yeah, which is shocking considering they put up 11 runs in one of those games. It's just it's that teeter totter. It's that balancing act where things just completely flipped to the opposite side
Can't
as
get
soon as
both.
they went on the road. But they've got a 6-game home stretch coming back against the Marlins, and don't tell it to me, the Astros, and then Marlins. Hopefully, we'll figure something out then.
It is
But
interesting.
the emphasis is on Bally and Xfinity to get their shit together.
As it should be. AL Central still wide open, and like Alex said, pretty nice schedule coming up.
Yeah.
We do have coming up on this show maybe the greatest segment Alex has ever suggested.
I don't know that I will ever hit this peak again. I don't know. I just had some weird thing in my brain where it clicked and it worked for
And
once.
you might be
so here we go.
might be thinking this is the most basic segment of all time, and I would say, fuck you.
Yeah,
This
literally.
is great. We're ranking 1, 2, and 3 the worst referee moments in Detroit sports history. There's a long list of them. It's
And
not on this list.
If you're not
but
from Detroit, you can come talk to us when your city has specific Detroit versus referee shirts that you can find in public people wearing. Until then, I don't want to hear it.
it's not on this list. But my freshman year of college, hands to the face twice in the Monday night Packers-Lions game.
Is that the honorable mention?
That's the honorable mention. That's exactly the word I should have used and will use now. It was an honorable mention because it had me just screaming in the hall of my dorm because there was a guy sitting next to me on the couch wearing a cheese head, like a literal cheese head. So that gets honorable mention, and because of that, I'll defer to you to grab number 3 first.
So number 3 is the most recent one. It's the Taylor Decker check-in. I mean, I still remember sitting on the couch, and just like thinking I was dreaming.
Yeah,
It was like they're showing the replay of him going and check. I don't know. The one thing I will say is I was having this conversation the other day. Is this is the first time I've ever actually seen the NFL handle something somewhat correctly, where they said that Brad Allen's crew would not be refereeing in the playoffs.
Yeah, sure.
And I appreciated the hell out of that because normally they don't do things like this. But I think that was just such a blatantly poor call. I don't know. It's something about the Lions in Dallas that makes me, think Jerry Jones has got his dirty little rotten hands tied up in something, because we have the hands to it was the elbow, the pass interference call from a couple years ago, and then this garbage. But that's my number 3.
We do know for a fact he has his dirty little hands tied up in at least one thing, and that's the Cowboys. So I do appreciate that he's mucking the hell out of that franchise.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing to watch all of that talent go to waste. I actually, speaking of Jerry Jones, I've got number 3 as a different Lions-Cowboys game. And this is only... You'll see a theme in this list. Mostly, I play fast and loose with my themes, but they apply when I want them to. And my first theme here is the weight of the call. And that's the picked up PI flag from 2014 on Brandon Pettigrew. Pettigrew up the seam on whatever the hell it was. Third and 1? And he's coming sort of on this up the seam from the end of the line setup, and Anthony Hutchins just runs into him. And if you remember watching 2010's NFL, the big thing was face guarding.
Yep.
Because when a corner or a linebacker was caught out of position, they'd stick their fucking arms up and just book it at the guy, because there was a lot less of this late hands as a receiver, this emphasis on waiting till the ball is right on you and tossing your hands up real late so that you don't give the corner, a chance to just reach his arms up and like blindly smack it away. Don't allow him to get back into the play. And so Anthony Hitchens just blew into Brandon Pettigrew, who was turning back for an underthrown Matthew Stafford ball, and just ran directly into him, gave Pettigrew no chance to come back and get the football. Flags thrown late in the fourth quarter. Lions need this conversion, down by I think 4 at the time.
Sounds about right.
And the Lions love trailing in playoff games, but that's fine. We won't knock the Lions. Can't knock the Lions anymore. They've earned
some trust.
Mm-hmm. They've earned a lack of Lions jokes for a while. But yeah, just absolutely brutal. They end up picking up the flag. They didn't even say no. They They picked up the flag, said no call.
And just
Lions
kept going.
punted away and lose the game. Brutal. That's my number
See,
3.
nowadays that wouldn't happen because we just wouldn't see a punt. So, but yeah, and then I guess going to number 2, I'm literally going to keep this short, and I'm not going to explain it. If you need an explanation, Google it. But JT was short. JT was short.
Great one.
JT was short. God, that was 6 or 7 years ago now.
2016 or 2017?
16, 17. That's crazy how long ago that was.
Double OT.
Now, I don't know necessarily that was a game that Michigan necessarily would have won. I think they made their fair amount of mistakes in that game.
True.
But come on.
I've got one from that same game, not an honorable mention or anything. They then handed the ball off on that next play.
Yep.
Cuts it back, wins the game. There were like 3 different holding penalties because if you remember, all the way around.
Yeah.
He cut that play. Just
now I'm sure Ohio State fans will have, their bitching and moaning from the last 3 games when we've demolished them and killed them and just eradicated them from the face of the earth. And I can't wait to do it again this fall with a new coach. But yeah, simple as that. JT was short. That's number 2.
My number 2, I'm going way back to the 1988 NBA Finals.
I didn't even leave the 2000s. Shit.
For Pistons Lakers. The Detroit Pistons won the 1989 championship and the 1990 championship. A year before, however, they were also in the championship. And there is a very famous game that not a lot of people remember. Game 6 of the 1988 NBA Finals, Isaiah Thomas busts his ankle at the start of the third quarter, just absolutely demolishes it. Goes on to score 26 points, hobbling around on one leg, literally like bouncing his way on one leg down the court. 26 points in just the third from Isaiah Thomas. Why have you never heard of that? Why does no one remember this? Because at the end of that game with the Pistons up by 1, 14 seconds left, Kareem goes into the patented sky hook, Bill Laimbeer with what is known as the phantom foul. Gets nowhere near him, goes straight up maybe a foot. There's a good amount of separation between him and Kareem. Even on that old 1980s TV, you could see distance between them. Foul is called because it's sort of retribution for all of the times that Laimbeer should have gotten whistled for more than he did. This time he did get whistled for something he didn't do. 2 free throws. Kareem makes them both, lose the game. Just absolutely heartbreaking in what could have been a three-peat. Counterfactually, we're talking counterfactual. We don't know for sure. Could have been a three-peat for the Pistons.
Yeah, I actually had not heard that entire story. I knew about IT, putting up all those points on a rolled ankle. I did not know they lost that game, so that one's interesting.
Yeah, and it's brutal, really quickly, because his ankle was busted so bad that when he just never took the shoe off because you can't. It's going to swell up. Once he did after the game, he took the ankle wrap off. He took the shoe off. It had swelled up so much. I don't think he even played in Game 7, and they ended up losing, of course, that series.
Oh, yawning on a podcast is not a great look.
It's not.
But we're alive. Number 1. Any Tigers fan knows this one. The 28 out perfect game is my number 1.
We got the same number 1.
We got the same number 1? I did not think this was going to
happen.
happen. But basically, this would have been June 2010. Armando Galarraga, who was a pitcher for the Tigers in that era, 8 2/3 clean, perfect. Jason Donald, who I think was pitch hitting, I think he had come up to pinch hit, hits a little tapper towards first base. Miggy goes in to get it. Armando goes to cover first. Gets the out. But by He didn't get the out. And Jim Joyce, who was the first base umpire, who has been just
great narration
ridiculed by Detroit sports fans ever since, called Jason Donald safe. They went back and looked. I mean, there's just, you can see the Miggy doing the surrender cobra. Galarraga's just got like this little smirk on his face, like, oh no, like that was that he was out, and it was one of those where Detroit was just up in arms. They went back and looked, and I will say, like, can't imagine being Jim Joyce after that one. Having to go back, look that you just screwed up the biggest call of your life. Like, that's what people, like, you think Jim Joyce, especially if you're a Detroit sports fan, you think Jim Joyce, that's immediately what you think of. And then I think he was actually, ironically, I think he was the home plate umpire next day. And they sent out Galarraga to give the lineup card, and this guy is just bawling. And Galarraga, handled it like a champion. It was like, everybody makes mistakes, people screw up, but it's still known as the 28-out perfect game. And that's, I mean, one of the biggest reasons we have instant replay in sports now. But yeah, that's definitely the biggest one. A guy that wasn't, big on, like, this wasn't like typical for him. Not that he wasn't like a bad pitcher necessarily, but
it's an all-time moment for him.
It's an all-time moment
for anyone.
He would finish, I think, with a 4.78 ERA, so not necessarily great. He was the Tigers' 2008 Rookie of the Year from the Detroit Sports Broadcast Association. But no, it's I can't imagine. I mean, he's gotten all the rewards. I think he got like a new Corvette or something, and he's gotten all of these different medals. So I think it's been cool for him in the interim. But Jim Joyce, I cannot imagine. No. I can't imagine having to go out in the field next day and do your job.
Yeah, really. That was also my number one for obvious reasons, and that was what I was going to say was, in all fairness to Jim Joyce, made a horrible mistake, cost the kid a huge game, cost the kid an all-time moment, cost the kid something that, a very select number of people on this planet have ever done at any level. However, he was bawling the next day, and he's since publicly apologized 1,000 times. I mean, it's not like he's sticking with this call or that, he is somehow dying on that hill. I mean, he knows the weight of such a mistake, and you got to feel for him.
And
too.
if you click on Jim Joyce's Wikipedia page, like the first thing under his professional career, outside of just listing what he's done, is Armando Galarraga's near perfect game.
Near perfect.
And he spoke with the media right after. He was like, I just cost the kid a perfect game. Like, I don't know how you handle it any better. Like, he was like, stand up, like, I admit my mistakes. Maybe Angel Hernandez can take a page out of that book, because that guy just sucks. But it's the never ongoing battle with, umpires and players and managers in baseball. I guess refs just overall. And that's where I wonder, maybe this is a debate topic for a future episode, but they've talked about having, robotic or like computer umpires and things like that, and continuing that. Maybe that's a debate for next time, but who knows? Maybe that's something we see in many sports in the near future.
I'd love to see it in baseball, because I think that's
don't think it work in hockey.
Yeah,
hockey. I
don't think it work in basically any other sport, especially football and basketball, where it's a contact sport. Like hockey, there's enough contact all the time that you can let more stuff go. Football and basketball, I think there's so many different types of contact that are like, it's a contact sport with quotation marks, you know what I mean? Where it becomes very subjective. And a lot of fouls, I think you sort of go, a lot of them are like, oh yeah, obviously fouled him, but I think a lot of them on the in-between are like, yeah, that was probably a foul.
Yeah.
And there's not like a baseball, it can be a lot more objective, I think, or a lot more easily made objective.
Yeah. I guess to transition here a little bit, do you have a pick of the week for this week? I know we're kind of towards the end of the week here.
Our phones are over there, so I can't check my line. But I do like Denver to win one in Minnesota.
Okay.
If you're not feeling that confident, and if you're loving the way that Minnesota has played defense this year, in this series, they just held Denver to 80 points in a basketball game. No, it's not the 1980s. Yeah. I like the Ant Edwards over. Does it feel basic? Yes. Am I jumping on a bandwagon? Also, yes. Is Ant Edwards going to fucking torch the Nuggets again? Also, yes. If the line is anywhere near 30 points, take that over. If you start getting into Luka ranges where they give the over-under for your points at like 33.5, I'd think better of it. But certainly think about his over depending on where that line sits at. Basically, for the rest of this series, I have a hard time seeing Denver's wings slowing this kid down.
Yeah, that's fair. And I guess mine is, and I talked about it a little bit earlier, but I'm going to, right now, as of Friday at just about noon Eastern time, the Rangers are underdogs in that game 4 against Carolina. I am hammering.
Wait, are they really?
Yes, they are underdogs. I am hammering that Rangers money line. I know Vegas always knows something that the rest of us don't, but I'm actually going to. Now, here's my thing. Rangers money line no matter what. If Shesterkin is the starting goalie, if he's in net to start the game, I'm parlaying that with an under 5.5, which
Ooh.
I am not an unders guy. I am a big, rule number 2 is you always bet the over. I'm taking the under with how great these goalies have looked in this series. I'm going Rangers money line under 5.5 if Shesterkin is in net. So I guess a little asterisk there. If he's not touching the total, just straight up Rangers money line.
Carolina's minus 150 right now.
Yes.
On that money line.
Rangers are 130. And I mean, there's, we got more than 24 hours till that puck drops, so there very well could be a shift. We never know.
Very true.
But yeah, we gotta look and see what our records are for picks of the week, because we have not.
We need to start
that.
keeping records unless they're really bad, and then we don't. No, it's going to be ugly. I know for me at least, I thought that Clips Mavs was going to go to 7. That didn't happen.
I think I at least had a game 7 out of Toronto Boston. At the very least.
True.
I will have to go back and listen. I need to start remembering what I say.
We'll just
clearly.
start now.
Yes.
Our records, and I know both
0-0.
of our picks sort of have asterisks around them this week, but
That's what makes it fun.
It is.
That's what makes
we'll
it
start
fun.
keeping records. As with every week, thank you so much for joining us on ACL. We are tentatively having a guest next week, a surprise that Mr. Deimel has hinted at for a while, but we've got a potential Lion maybe joining us on the podcast next week. So ACL, and we'll be back next week. Thank you for joining us.
Adios.